Welcome back. It's Luke the Goon. It's day 5 of the 31 days of Halloween, and today I was on Netflix and I was actually recommended this movie called House of the Witch. Now, I had no idea what the movie was, what it was about, or anything. It just was recommended, and I was like, the synopsis sounded decent, so I was like, oh, I'll watch it. So keep in mind, I had no idea what this movie was. It's House of the Witch, and basically it's kind of a Night of the Demons film. A group of kids on Halloween night decide that they're going to go to this house that's supposedly haunted, and they go in the house and they get stuck in the house. And they come to find out that, well, there's a witch that was in the house that's haunting the house. Now, after I watched the movie, I was like, something's weird about this movie, because there are several different things that I caught on to that I was like, why is it like this? For one, there's a point where a guy's kind of hanging out on the side of the truck, and he's getting ready. He's like, mother. And when he's getting ready to say the last part, a truck drives by and honks its horn. And so it's like, did they just blur a cuss word? Did they like bleep it? I mean, and I was like, what? And then the other thing is that there's cuts where it looks like it's going to commercial, and I'm like, this had to be a TV movie. So after the movie was over, I looked it up, and it was. It's a sci-fi movie, which is even worse. The movie itself, I'll get into it, but usually sci-fi movies are notoriously bad. And right off the bat, like, the sound design is very bad. It's that thing where, like, they overused sound. Like, a guy is walking and you hear, like, added in footsteps. It's definitely not realistic sounding footsteps. And then there's a part where a guy's working in a mechanic shop, and you can just hear like that, and it's like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. It's too corny. It's too fake. Overall, I'll say the movie wasn't terrible. It's probably one of the best sci-fi movies I've seen in a long time. But there's like, when I first started watching the film, I thought, this kind of seems like a kid's movie, because there wasn't too much going on. And like I said, they bleeped the cursing. So I was like, this must be like a teen horror movie or something. But then you get in later in the film, and there's like some really like gory, like blood, because Robert Kurtzman does the special effects. He used to be one of the leads in KNB effects before, Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger left. So Robert Kurtzman did his own thing, so he's pretty good. So I was like, well, this isn't a kid's movie, and so I couldn't figure it out. And being a TV movie, it makes sense that they would bleep some of the cursing, but they would still try to keep it like a little bit gory for people. So somewhere I think they got some wires crossed, and it just kind of ended up being kind of like a weird, like, intro being kind of like maybe like a Scooby-Doo kids movie, and then at the end there's like this slapped on like kind of gory horror theme going on with it. There's not really too much that's like scary or even creepy. I feel like all the scares are telegraphed, and the CG is very bad. They have like the way that they show the ghost is this weird like cloud it's like a like billowing like blackish cloud, and that's always like, okay, that's the ghost moving through the house. And so it didn't make it creepy. Like, if they would have used more practical, kind of like with a ghost type of thing, I think it would have been a lot more scary. Because supernatural movies are the one kind of movie that still will kind of creep me out. Because, slasher films don't really scare me. Any of that stuff doesn't really get to me. But, like, when it comes to supernatural, it feels like something that if the supernatural was actually real, it could happen, potentially. And so that's kind of the thing. So I like to watch a lot of supernatural films, because those are the ones that kind of will really creep me out. But this just didn't really do it. It's not really scary. But it's not wholly unentertaining, but it's still not very good. It's a weird kind of thing. The thing that was actually the scariest is there's a scene where one of the people, they actually get out of the house, because the house is like boarded up and they can't get out. And a door is magically open, and they run out. And there's just this scene where there's like, she's seeing all these kind of like kids, I think, and they're like wearing like all white. It's probably like a girl, and they're like running behind trees and stuff. That's like the creepiest scene in the movie, just because it's so subtle and so different, and that's probably the creepiest scene. Um, there's also some very weird dialogue where, like, you see all this haunting stuff going on, and they see it too, and then one of the characters is like, "It's the ghost. It must be the ghost of the witch who's in the house." They were just downstairs with all her ghost stuff, and he's like, "It must be the haunting." It's like, we don't need that. Like, we already know. Like, if you're just figuring it out, you're one of the dumbest characters I've seen, you know? And then there's like a weird thing. They make a big deal out of this mirror, and then the mirror didn't really have anything to do with it. She tells like this like legend where like if you cover a mirror, it stops a spirit from getting out. And in the beginning of the movie, she uncovers it. And then the same scene where the guy's like, "It must be the witch haunting the house," where he's saying that, he asks her about that mirror too. And he's like, "What's the big deal with the mirror?" And then we already know that the ghost was haunting the house before she uncovered the mirror. So I don't know if that was like a lost plot thread, or they shot it and then re-edited it and they put that in the beginning, forgetting that they had that line in there. I don't know, but it's kind of a mess. I don't know. I 2 out of 5 maybe. It's not. I don't know. It's not as bad as some movies, but it's also. I think it's just not entertaining. Like, it's not wholly bad. It's just not that fun to watch, I guess. Well, I'm recording this today, which means that I've got the concert that I'm going to later today, so I was able to get this one in. I have been watching. I have somehow got ahead, so I actually watched this movie last night, and I'm watching a movie today that I will review tomorrow. I don't remember how that happened, but it did. I'm also doing a Creep Show TV review because I watched episode 2 last night. It's really good. The whole series has really surprised me. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like the review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.